I am 45 years old. I was born in a small village in Punjab, Chuck number 56. I grew up there. Even today, the same old fields, the fragrance of the soil, and the scorching days under the sun are a part of my life. My father, may Allah bless his soul, was a government employee. He worked in the railways. The whole village respected him. He always wished that I should study, move to the city, and get a job. But my heart was always tied to the fields. Plowing the land, watering from the canal, watching the wheat crops grow. This was my world. My mother is still alive. May Allah keep her in good health. My younger brother's name is Adnan. He is a school teacher. He teaches at the primary school in the village. Now, we brothers live separately. He has settled in a new neighborhood with his wife and children. I have 5 children of my own, 2 sons and 3 daughters. All of them go to school. My only wish is that my children do not repeat the mistake I made. My mornings begin before sunrise. I listen to the call for prayer. I perform ablution and offer my prayers. Then I drink a cup of tea and go to my oxen. The fields are about half a kilometer away from home. There I have an old hut where I sit and rest for a while during the day. At night, I return home because that place is lonely, surrounded by trees. I am a simple man. I do not talk too much, and I do not quarrel with anyone. I have 2 acres of land on which I grow wheat, cotton, or maize. Often the rainwater ruins the crops. But what can a farmer do? His fate is always tied to the weather. The incident I am about to tell happened 15 years ago. It was the rainy season. That day the sky was covered with clouds from early morning. But I was busy with my work. I wanted to finish it quickly so I could return home before the rain began. Even today, when I remember every detail of that day, I tremble. Because what happened that day, I had neither seen before nor heard of. It must have been a Thursday, the month of Sawan. The sky was heavy with clouds since morning. The sound of thunder could be heard. The air was damp and the atmosphere felt unusually heavy. But even in such weather, a farmer's heart only worries about his crops. As always, I woke up before the call of far prayer. I drew some cold water from the tank, performed ablution, and sat on the corner of the cot to offer my prayer. On the roof of the house, I could hear the soft pattering of raindrops. But the rain had not started yet. My mother prepared fresh paratha on the stove and a cup of milk tea. After eating, I fed the oxen. Then I wrapped a scarf around my head, picked up my spade, sickle, and a bottle of water, and left for the fields. The path was unpaved. A thin layer of old mud was spread over it. Perhaps there had been a drizzle during the night. On my right, the canal flowed with muddy water, as it always does in the rainy season, rushing with strong current. The air was fresh, but the sky looked heavy. When I reached the fields, the sun was dim and hidden in the haze. I started working. I cleared the weeds from the roots of the crop. At some spots, I spread fertilizer and dug a small channel for water, so that if it did not rain, the canal water could be used. As I kept working, noon arrived. My clothes were soaked in sweat. Noon is always silent. The whole village seems to sleep. Even the birds hide in the shade. I sat under the neem tree in front of the hut and ate 2 rotis that my mother had given me in the morning. 1 potato paratha and 1 plain with pickle. After that, I rested for a while. I spread my scarf on the ground, closed my eyes. But the worry of rain would not leave my mind. The clouds above grew darker. At times, the sunlight broke through them and fell on the land like drops of gold. Around 4 in the evening, the clouds thickened and covered the sky with darkness. The wind grew sharper. The birds began flying back to their nests. I hurried to finish the remaining work because the signs of rain were clear. At last, I fed the oxen once more and started gathering my things inside the hut. Around 5:30, the rain suddenly poured down with full force. It felt as if the sky had split open. Lightning flashed and the thunder was so loud that the earth trembled. I quickly went inside the hut, which was a small shelter made of mud and wood. There was no door, just a piece of cloth hanging at the entrance. I sat inside and watched the rain fall outside. With every flash of lightning, the fields and trees lit up for a moment, and then darkness returned. Fear rose in my heart, but I tried to calm myself, telling myself this was just the usual rain of the season. It was then that I noticed.
I thought that as soon as the rain slowed down, I would go home. My mother would be alone, and the children must be worried about me. The rain had been pouring for almost 40 minutes. I sat in the corner of the hut. My clothes were clinging to my body, and the dampness of the mud floor felt as if it had seeped into my very bones. In the noise of the rain, everything seemed normal at first. But then came a moment when it felt as if the whole universe had turned silent. The rain slowly began to fade. The thunder was replaced by a strange silence. The kind of silence that rings loudly in the ears. Outside, darkness had spread. The clouds were still hovering above, as if ready to pour down again. I moved the cloth at the entrance of the hut and peered outside. That was when my eyes fell on a tree, standing at one corner of my land. Beneath that tree, I saw a faint light, as if a lamp was burning there, or perhaps a torch had been left. But the strange thing was that there was no other person around. And in that place, no light had ever been seen before. At first, I thought maybe it was a shepherd or a traveler who had stopped there to escape the rain. I called out loudly, "Hey, who's there?" But there was no answer. The light remained, neither moving nor fading, nor growing stronger, as if it was waiting for someone. By now, the rain had turned into a light drizzle. Inside me, a strange curiosity began to grow, as if something was pulling me toward it. I threw the scarf on my shoulder and stepped out of the hut. The ground was muddy. My shoes sank into the slush with every step. Slowly, I began walking toward the tree. Lightning flashed now and then, and in every flash the whole scene lit up for a moment. The tree, the fields, the canal, and that light. When I finally reached close to the tree, something strange happened. There was nothing there. No lamp, no lantern, no flame, no torch. Only the wet ground and the old trunk of the tree. I looked around. I called again. I even peeked behind the tree. Who was there? But there was no reply. A cold shiver ran down my spine. A mix of sweat and rain trickled down my forehead. I turned to go back toward the hut. And then something happened that froze my feet to the ground. The hut I had left just a while ago was now glowing with light. But this was not an ordinary light. It was a trembling yellow glow, like that of a candle. Yet there was no candle inside the hut. I had never lit a lamp there. My heartbeat grew faster. My mind filled with 1,000 questions, but my body moved on its own toward the hut. My feet sank into the mud, but I did not stop. With every step, the fear grew deeper, and still, some unknown force kept pushing me forward. I slowly moved the cloth hanging at the entrance. My heart was pounding, as if a snake was coiled around it. A flash of lightning lit everything for a moment, and I saw that there was indeed light inside the hut. But it was not from a lantern or a lamp. It spread across the ground in the shape of a circle, as if someone had drawn a faint fire on the floor. Right in the middle of that light sat a figure. My breath stopped. The figure was human-like, but only from a distance. Its body was bent forward, its face lowered, and its arms were unusually long, abnormally long, as if pulled out of mud. Its clothes were completely wet. Yet there was no mud, no dirt, just a wet and shining surface. From its body, faint steam was rising, as if it had not come from the rain, but from some other hell. Without thinking, I called out in a trembling voice, "Who are you?" No reply came. Only its long arms began to move slowly. Then it lifted its head. My eyes froze wide open. The face was not a face. It was a dark, smoky blur. No eyes, no nose, no lips. Just a cloud of smoke shifting in the shape of a human head, as if someone had burned a face to ashes, and those ashes were now floating in the air. I tried to step back, but my feet were rooted to the ground. My tongue was useless. I wanted to scream, I wanted to run, but I could do nothing. Suddenly, the figure bent its neck and let out a strange sound, neither human nor animal, as if someone was screaming from underwater. The very next moment, the light vanished. The hut was swallowed in darkness, and it was as if I came back to my senses. I turned at once and ran out of the hut. My feet sank into the mud as I stumbled forward.
My feet stumbled through the mud. My breath was heavy. My heart felt as if it would burst out of my chest. In the darkness and rain, I screamed and ran, falling and rising all the way toward my home. When I reached, my mother was standing at the doorway. Seeing my condition, even she trembled. That night, I remained silent. I ate nothing. I spoke to no one. The next morning, I gathered courage and went back to the fields. The events of the night echoed in my mind. My heart trembled, but a farmer's work cannot stop. When I reached near the hut, I saw it standing just the same. Its mud walls were not broken. The cloth at the entrance had not moved. For a moment, it felt as if nothing had ever happened. But then I noticed it. On the ground, the burnt circle was still there. The same mark of light. The same damp soil in a ring. And on the door of the hut, there was something new. A small handprint. As if someone from inside had dragged their fingers through the mud. I turned back at once. And from that day onward, I never went near that hut after sunset.